this over to the Georgia legislature because they will actually do what he requests because they agree with him. So it was an absolute
아이고 안녕하세요. 매일매일 운동하기를 실천하고 있는 동탄 왕포입니다. 오늘 쉬는 날이에요. 아주 쉬는 날입니다. 아주 여유로운 하루를 보내고 있습니다. 영어 공부를 해야 되는데 왜 이렇게 공부하기 하시는지 모르겠어요. 일단 오늘은 6월 30일 6월의 마지막 날이죠. 벌써 2022년도 딱 절반이 흘렀습니다. 내일부터는 7월 1일이에요. 내일 영어학원 갑니다. 영어학원 가는 건 당연한 거고 내일 수영 갑니다. 와, 코로나 약 3년 동안 수영을 못했죠. 드디어 저희 회사 수영장이 오픈을 합니다. 아직 강습은 없고요. 강습이 없어서 일단 수영장을 가긴 할 건데 수영복이랑 수경이랑 다 새로 샀습니다. 네, 그거 새로 왔으니까 그거 해서 수영 내일 한번 킥판 한번 차보겠습니다. 코로나 중간중간에 호텔이나 이런 데로 여행을 가서 수영을 했었었는데 아주 저질이 된 체력을 중간중간에 확인할 수 있었습니다. 과연 정식으로 25m 이제 딱 그런 수영장을 가보진 않아서 어떻게 될지 25m를 가지도 못할 것 같아요. 그거조차도 쉽지 않을 것 같습니다. 일단 장마철이 아주 비가 심하게 내려서 지금 서울의 잠수교가 통행 제한을 하고 있다는 소식이 있고요. 역시 잠수교의 통행이 제한이 돼야 진짜 여름이구나 라는 걸 실감할 수 있죠. 그리고 또 뭐가 있을까요? 비가 오지게 오고 지금은 끝인 것 같은데 네, 뭐 딱히 별다른 소식은 없네요. 네, 운동하겠습니다. 역시 운동을 할 때 CNN이죠. 제가 왜 이렇게 운동할 때 CNN을 듣냐고 저의 아주 열혈 팬분이 한 분이 저에게 질문을 해주셨어요. 운동할 때 CNN을 왜 듣냐면 제가 지금 계속 영어 공부를 하는데 일상생활에서 영어를 전혀 안 써요. 영어를 쓰는 그런 제가 직업을 갖고 있는 것도 아니고 주변에 외국인 친구가 있는 것도 아니어서 영어를 쓸 일이 전혀 없습니다. 그래서 영어에 대한 그런 그걸 뭐라 그러죠? 접근성, 영어에 노출되는 시간을 최대한 많이 하기 위해서 그냥 CNN을 틀어놓는 거예요. 집에서도 하루종일 CNN을 틀어놓습니다. 운동할 때만 틀어놓는 게 아니고 집에 있으면 항상 CNN을 틀어놓고 그냥 생활을 합니다. 네, 그래요. 그렇다고요. 운동하겠습니다. 이 유튜브 찍을 때만 틀어놓는 게 아니에요.
What Eric Trump said was that violence was fair game. Was that on camera?
I mean, Eric, he didn't say this explicitly. I mean, Eric was able to explain his position in that he felt that some of the rhetoric that was coming, he believed, rhetoric that was coming from the other side. And he talked about how he had been subpoenaed many times and there was sort of political intervention by the Democrats. And he felt that, well, if they're going to start on me, then it's perfectly fair enough, to do the same on the other side. One of the things he also says is how, by virtue of the fact that the Democrats had, constantly been, attacking his father, he felt that it was perfectly acceptable for him to do the same on the other side. I mean, it's an unusual thing for him to say in light of the events that took place. This interview took place after January 6th.
So the violence you believe he was talking about, was it rhetoric or do you think it was physical violence?
I mean, he did talk about how, that they are a New York family and they are brash and, they are, sort of willing to get up close and personal. And, it's very much my interpretation of his interview and sort of his feeling that maybe sort of come to the conclusion that he certainly did feel that his way of campaigning was acceptable.
One other interesting thing, after your interviews with the former president, you don't believe he's going to run again. Why do you say that?
I mean, this is totally my own opinion, and I think that based on precedent, Donald Trump doesn't, when he fails at something, he sort of pivots and does something else. So, this is merely an assumption based on other facts.
It wasn't something that
I
he
just-
said in your during your conversation.
Oh no. He did not say that he was not going to run there.
Alex, thank you. I appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
A 173-year-old Wisconsin law banning abortions is now in effect following the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The Wisconsin Attorney General working to repeal the law is here with me next.
The journey to the top for a successful business in Africa starts with an idea. But how does concept become a moneymaker? African and global industry leaders share their stories on Profit Point in CNN Marketplace Africa.
I'm Ben Wiedemann in Ukraine, and this is CNN.
The problem with plastic is that it's indestructible. Not-plat packaging can break down in a home compost extremely fast, just like an apple or just like an orange. A lot of people were surprised that seaweed could be turned into a packaging material. We chose seaweed because it has a lot of sustainable credentials. It doesn't use fresh water or fertilizer to grow. It just grows on its own in the sea without human intervention. And on top of that, when it grows, it sequesters carbon. We partnered for the London Marathon with Lucozade. They were using plastic bottles and cups, and they were really keen to reduce the amount of waste that is created at these events. At the end of the event, it was brilliant that the trucks that clean the streets and usually have to stop at each station to pick up all of that plastic, they just drove by our station. There was nothing to pick up, so it was really incredible, the feeling that we had delivered hydration without the plastic. Nature has all of the solutions. We just have to continue getting our inspiration from it. Different plants, different trees, different vegetables. This is what the future looks like. We need to use more of other natural materials. I think through this diversity, we can really solve this problem. And I'm really hopeful that we will.
Business is all about making connections. But some connections are easier to make than others. With a CNN partner hotel, the world is always at your fingertips. CNN partner hotels, connected to your world.
Across Africa, businesses are working together like never before. All new on CNN, Connecting Africa.
Join me, Eleni Jokas, as we crisscross the continent to show you how new connections are revolutionizing commerce in Africa. This month, Connecting Africa from the Africa CEO Forum here in Côte d'Ivoire.
This forum really brings Africans together.
Connecting Africa on CNN in association with Afrexim Bank.
I'm Patrick Ottman in Havana, Cuba, and this is CNN.
States scrambling to figure out what to do about abortion following the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. Like in Wisconsin, where a 173-year-old law is now in effect. The 1849 law says any person other than the mother who intentionally destroys the life of an unborn child is guilty of a felony, the punishment up to 6 years in prison and or a $10,000 fine. But the governor and the attorney general are filing suit to repeal the law. Joining me now, Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul. Attorney General, thank you so much. I appreciate you joining us. This bill is from 1849. Women didn't even have the right to vote then. What consequences that could women in your state face with this law in place now?
Yeah, this is a criminal abortion ban. It makes it a felony for somebody to perform an abortion. There's an exception for the mother. The mother can't be prosecuted, and for an abortion to save the life of the mother. But the effect of this ban being on the books has been that access to safe and legal abortion has stopped in Wisconsin. There are no providers who are providing abortion services right now. And the governor and I are doing everything within our power right now to fight back against this. And yesterday, we filed a suit asking for a declaration from a court that ban is not enforceable in order to restore access to safe and legal abortion.
So you mentioned just ahead of the Friday's decision, you and Governor Evers called on your state's Republican-led legislature multiple times to repeal this law. They didn't. Why not?
The governor called a special session. It was held just a few days before the Dobbs decision came down. And rather than vote to repeal that abortion ban from the mid-1800s, which doesn't contain any exception for rape or incest, the legislature just gavelled in and gavelled out without even hearing from Wisconsinites or debating the issues. And the reason is because they want this draconian 19th century abortion ban to be in effect in Wisconsin. Now, this ban has made women in Wisconsin less free, less equal, and less safe, and we're not going to stand for that. So the governor and I are committed to fighting back.
How confident are you that your lawsuit will take the abortion ban off the books for good?
Well, I'm confident that we have the best side of the legal argument here. We've argued a couple different things, including that laws that were passed after the abortion ban, well after it, implicitly repealed the ban because there are provisions in the newer laws that are inconsistent with the old laws, and certain types of procedures can't be both legal and illegal at the same time. So we're arguing that the old ban is invalid. But of course, it's litigation and you never know how it's going to play out. So it's critical that our legislature also steps up and acts to repeal the abortion ban that's still in the books.
Prior to the ruling, you said you didn't intend on enforcing the abortion ban statewide while the lawsuit is pending. Is that still the case? If so, how do you plan on doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. We are not going to be using any resources at our State Department of Justice to investigate or prosecute anybody for alleged violations of that ban. We have far more important things to be doing with our limited resources, like going after murderers and people who commit sexual assault and drug traffickers. And the idea that we would shift resources from those vitally important purposes, fighting crime, to going after people for abortions, I think is just an outrageous idea, and we're not going to do it.
Josh Kaul, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Former President Donald Trump's first national security advisor, Michael Flynn, pleading the fifth when asked if he supports a peaceful transition of power. More on that next.
Mainland China tolerates no signs of dissent whatsoever.
Are you anticipating dozens of people being prosecuted? Hundreds? Thousands? Stories of mass internment camps have been trickling out. Do you think you'll see your husband again?
This period of mourning is taking place in a real climate of fear. The humanitarian crisis that is unfolding in front of our eyes here.
This is one of the cells? Come on in here.
We're flying over ISIS front lines. This is the only protection we have.
Nerves are still very much on edge. Firefighters have been battling this blaze for weeks. What do you say to people who question climate change?
We need to do something now.
Ivan Watson, CNN.
was trafficked at the age of 18. I was a single young mom trying to figure out how to put myself through school. I was lured off of a college campus in Eugene, Oregon, and I was trafficked to Las Vegas mainly for nearly 6 years. My name's Rebecca Bender, and I'm the CEO and founder of the Rebecca Bender Initiative. The way that we mentor survivors of human trafficking is through our initiative called the Elevate Academy. Elevate Academy is really a holistic school that invites survivors to join a cohort of other people just like them. They get a mentor, they get a life coach. We help take them through a number of classes, some of which are really about deeper levels of healing. When I was able to finally escape from my trafficker, I can remember during that time I had been traded and sold between 3 different traffickers. I had 2 men tattoo their names on my back like a piece of cattle. I have been to jail multiple times, had my face broken in 5 places. I was really hopeless and I didn't know how I was going to get out. Finally, a federal investigation led to my trafficker's arrest, and I went home to a family that was really supportive. But we know in this fight against trafficking that that's not the case for everybody. So not only am I really grateful, but I'm also really determined to help communities learn how to be that family for survivors that are trying to rebuild their lives.
I'm David McKenzie in Cape Town. This is CNN.
Lost in the shock over Cassidy Hutchinson's stunning live testimony, a video deposition the January 6th committee released yesterday. Testimony from General Michael Flynn, one of Trump's former national security advisors. He repeatedly invoked the Fifth Amendment, his right against self-incrimination, when asked about the January 6th and about the peaceful transfer of power. Listen.
Do you believe the violence on January 6th was justified morally?
Take the Fifth.
You believe the violence on January 6th was justified legally?
Fifth.
General Flynn, do you believe in the peaceful transition of power in the United States of America?
The Fifth.
Let's discuss now. CNN national security analyst James Clapper, the former director of national intelligence. Director, thank you. I appreciate you joining us. I mean, this is coming from someone who served in the military for more than 30 years. He was Trump's first national security advisor. He swore an oath to the Constitution. He couldn't say he believes in a peaceful transfer of power?
Yeah, Don, it's under normal times, under normal circumstances, this would be a pretty stunning thing for an officer that achieved the rank of lieutenant general, served in the military for 34 years, and has taken the oath many times in the course of that to respond like that. And again, under normal times, this would be a big deal. But given Mike Flynn's track record, his swearing the oath of office to QAnon, I guess is not surprising after all. But I just find it's really something when someone with his background takes the Fifth Amendment when asked about supporting a peaceful transfer of power. It's pretty incredible.
Pretty important yet basic stuff, right? When you take an oath to the Constitution. You knew Flynn when he was on active duty. Is this the person you knew, Director?
Well, it's as though he's a different person. This is yet another example of Mike Flynn. This is not the Mike Flynn I knew 2014 and earlier. This is a completely different person, in my opinion.
Director Cassidy Hutchinson testified yesterday about a conversation she had with the then Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, days before January 6th. Listen to this.
The way that the White House is handling the post-election period, he felt that there could be dangerous repercussions in terms of precedent set for elections, for our democracy, for the six.
As a former Director of National Intelligence yourself, what do you make of this warning about a sitting president, Director?
Well, I think if the statement implies a dangerous precedent for future elections, he was right. And if I understood the quote, and I think this is something we're going to have to worry about every election, particularly presidential elections. And so this is one case where I completely agree with DNI Ratcliffe. If that's what he was doing, was warning of what could happen in the future.
Director, thank you very much, Director Clapper. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Don.
We'll be right back.
Air Quality Update in association with Copernicus, Europe's Eyes on Earth. Air Quality Update in association with Copernicus, Europe's Eyes on Earth.
It's totally covered in solar, also the side panels, and we have this patented proprietary solar technology which we developed over the last couple of years. And this vehicle here is recharging on average per day 10 miles. In a week it's 70 miles through the sun. Additionally, of course, I have a battery on board. I can recharge it just as a regular electric vehicle, but we have this convenient feature. It's taking away this fear of recharging, this fear of range anxiety, and making it more convenient, energy efficient, and you're saving costs. Energy is coming from the sun for free. And the second pillar is selling and licensing this technology to B2B customers. Trucks, train, buses, camper van. There's huge potential in this market to make the whole logistic industry more greener.
Advancement, adaptation, new marketplace Middle East.
Find out why water is the new blue gold.
Marketplace Middle East, Saturday on CNN.
This is a really important story. My name's Clarissa Ward. I work for CNN. Assalamu alaikum. Day in, day out. You see the reality of people living through this. Ничего страшного. Okay.
This is the front line.
On a human level, you find courage, sacrifice. This is what life is about. A lot of people are wondering why. You see the worst of humanity.
Putin might use a nuclear weapon. Absolutely terrifying.
But you also see the best of humanity. My job is to be present. The human cost is right here. And to tell these stories.
We're talking about families.
That is the most important thing. I'm Clarissa Ward in Ukraine. This is CNN.
From the tiniest warthog to the mightiest whale shark, nature is on the move, but natural paths are under threat. Now meet incredible conservationists, helping species cross highways, span flyways, and get from A
일단 여기까지만
to B.
하고 밥 먹고 한 번 더 하겠습니다.
And we must protect it.
Call to Earth, protecting nature's highways.
Saturday on CNN.